The world is becoming increasingly proficient at telling stories that deny God. As such, we need Thinking Christian to become as natural as breathing. Welcome to the Thinking Christian podcast. I'm Dr. James Spencer. Through calm, thoughtful, theological discussions, Thinking Christian highlights the ways God is working in the world and questions the underlying social, cultural, and political assumptions that hinder Christians from becoming more like Christ. Now, on to today's episode of Thinking Christian. Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Thinking Christian. I'm James Spencer, and I'm here with my co-host Nate Giarantano and Luke Smallbone from For King and Country, and we're going to be talking about their new movie that's coming out, detailing the life and happenings of For King and Country. And so, Luke, we're really happy to have you here, man. Can you just tell us a little bit about where you guys are at, your story a little bit, and then we'll dive into some questions.
Yeah. So originally born in Australia, hopefully you can still tell. My dad was a concert promoter back there, and one particular tour that he brought back to Australia, the tour didn't go very well, and my dad lost everything that we had as a family, lost the house, the car, the life savings. So my dad was looking for a fresh start for his career, for the family, and he got a job offer in Nashville, Tennessee, and he thought it would be a good idea to move his 6 kids and his wife, who was 6 months pregnant at the time, and that's exactly what we did. But soon after we arrived in Nashville, my dad lost that job, and we were sleeping on beds made out of clothes, sleeping on beds made out of clothes. We didn't have any way for our little sister to be born in a hospital. We weren't always quite sure where the next meal was going to come from. Didn't have a car. Had all sorts of crazy struggles for those first few years that we were here, and we didn't know what else to do other than just gather around as a family and just start praying for these amazing, just for things to take place, and we got to see amazing things happen. And I've told that story, or a version of that story, pretty much everywhere I've gone over the last 12 years, and had a lot of people come up and say, "Man, you guys should write a book." And the truth is, Joel and I were homeschooled, and so we don't read or write very well, and thought maybe we could do a movie instead. And so I went to an LA friend of mine, pitched him this idea, and he said, "Let's put the script into development and see where it goes." And the heartbeat behind the movie really is, I think family is more powerful today than it ever has been in the history of the world, but we do not value it as such. And Mother Teresa says, if you want to change the world, go home and love your family. And that's kind of the thesis statement and the point of this movie, Unsung Hero.
That's incredible. I've heard that story many times over the years. You guys always share it like at a certain point at concerts and things. And so I'm super excited to see this. How do you think it is for Joel to play that role of the old bloke?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're basically the same person as it is. So I think it's pretty natural. Joel jokes that it's a very expensive therapy session. Which, when you're playing your parents in a movie, or your father in this case, I think he's probably accurate. I mean, he makes a good point that, when I think for all of our parents, like there gets a point where you're like, Dad, come on, or Mom, really, and what you realize, a lot of the things that annoy us about our parents is because we just didn't live their life, and we didn't live through the things that they had to live through. And we only know them from when we were brought into the world. But when you go back and you start to relive some of the things that they went through, it provides a lot of empathy. It provides a lot of compassion for who they are as people. And so I think that both Joel and I have felt that making this movie, but I think for Joel acting as dad in the film, probably particularly so.
So, man, I mean, I agree with you on the power of the family. And I just want to circle back to that comment. I think as a working dad, my wife works too, so we're kind of a 2-income family. Family can tend to get lost in just the busyness of life. What are some things you might suggest to folks, just given your experience and your upbringing, but also I'm sure you have a busy schedule. How do you stay connected? How do you do family? And how do you make it a priority?
Yeah, and this is one of those things where each individual family's got to probably find their own thing, because what I'm about to say, people are going to be like, there's no way I could do that. But I bring my kids with me virtually everywhere I go. Usually I'll have one kid with me. Even right now, I got an Evie in the back, and so that's our way of being able to keep family around and really, really close. I think that there's been a little bit of a loss in, like, parents go off and do their thing, and in some cases it's not acceptable to have kids, and I totally respect that. But like, we've just kind of, in the olden days, you worked obviously in your home. You were a carpenter, or you were this, and your kids were always around. It's only in the last 100 years, for the most part, that there's a lot of going out from the home. And so what I would encourage and obviously, like I said, me going on the road, having a kid with me, flying, doing all the things is works for us, may not work for other people. But what is your own version of that? What is your own, like, hey, well, why can't I just, bring so-and-so along, and why can't I to that meeting? Because here's the thing, our kids these days only learn how to fit in with other kids. So there's a maturity.
For some of us, personal finances aren't just personal. They include loved ones, neighbors, the communities we call home, and the causes we hold in our hearts. At Thrivent, planning your finances is bigger than just money. We help you put your plans into motion and faith into action so you can do more for the ones in your heart. Because sometimes all you need to make a difference is someone to help you make it happen. Thrivent, where money means more. Connect with us at Thrivent.com.
Lacking in most kids these days. But if kids learn how to fit in with adults, the measurement of who they're trying to be and who they're hoping to be is far greater.
Hey, everybody. At this point in the interview, Luke's daughter actually hopped into the room and asked to use the restroom. So Luke had to step away just a little bit. There was no real way to clip it to make it make sense in the episode, so I'm including this little interlude to give everybody an idea of what happened. But I think it was just sort of an amazing serendipitous experience where Luke gets to showcase the sort of interactions that he has with his family and the way that they're actually involved and entangled within his life. It was a beautiful illustration of the way that he's describing what he does to keep his family together. And so we're going to hop back into the interview. It's a little bit disjointed, but hopefully you'll catch the overall vibe, and I don't think it's too disruptive. So here we go back to the interview with Luke Smallbone.
Sorry. I mean, that's just evidence of what we were talking about, right? In theory. But anyway, to finish that statement, I think that I think kids are going to get enough time with other kids. My struggle with today's day and age is we don't get enough time. Kids don't get enough time with adults. And what I would say to parents is, how do we do something about that? Would be my encouragement.
Well, not every situation is like yours, like you said, but I've seen like your kids, like your boys, they're getting life experiences doing that too, and getting opportunities to grow and get outside of, like you said, just their age group. And I think that's amazing. I think that's incredible. And they're going to thank you for that someday for sure.
Hopefully.
Well, man,
I'll be paying for a massive therapy session later on. Who knows?
Right.
You probably can't win no matter what you do. I mean, it's sort of one of those things that you can't provide everything, and so they're always going to be lacking something. But I will say, I've started working remote since 2018, and it's been amazing to be at home with the kids, be able just to drive in places, spend that little amounts of time with them. And I watched the preview for the movie coming out on YouTube last night. And one of the things I was sort of struck by is, your dad is leading you all up to do some work in it looks like a big palatial kind of maybe Nashville mansion. And so you all had that probably work ethic instilled, but that maturity sort of built in, would you say, as you're going out and working with your parents and having to interact with folks who are hiring your family? Is that what that scene
I mean, look, I learned to mow lawns at 5, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I don't even know if it's legal, but I learned, and I was always given a nice mower that had the self-propelled, because you're talking about, it's the 90s, right? So I mean, this was 91.
Yeah.
So I think it was a Snapper is what I had. It was one of the new ones that had, the front wheels actually turned. Well, I always got that mower because I could mow a lawn at 5 and I loved it. But it was difficult to get up a hill. But with the self-propelled, I could do it, So, but yeah, I mean, that was a little bit of our upbringing, and there's pros and cons to that as well, But we were really, really, really busy, but we were kind of busy as a unit. And I think even homeschooling and things, it's like, if you gotta, we've all got to make sure that what does every man and woman need? I think they need purpose. Well, children aren't unlike men and women. That's what they're growing to be. And the more purpose that we can give children, the better. And I think for us, we were kids that had a lot of purpose, very, very young. And that was something that was very valuable. Pros and cons. There's some other things on another conversation we could talk about. But,
sure.
overall, I think it was a good thing for us.
Absolutely. I wanted to ask you about this because I know you're not per se in the movie, you're portrayed, but you didn't act in there with Joel. But you got to work on the music side. How was that recreating that song with Michael W. Smith? Was that, can you speak to
Yeah.
the experience? I mean, that's pretty amazing.
Well, I will correct you slightly. I am in the movie, but you're just going to have to go find it. All right,
Okay.
because it is a little bit of a
Easter
funny
egg.
situation,
Okay.
and it's an Easter egg, and but it is still a role that is worthy to be played.
There you go.
And Anyway, so you can figure that out later on. And then when it comes to, we did an inspired by album for this. So if King Country went into the studio and did a whole album for it, there's only one or two originals. The rest of it's are covers, but they're covers that are, we do a cover that's coming out soon. To Hell with the Devil by Striper. We do a cover on, and Lecrae raps
No
on it. It's
way.
this crazy version, but it's cool.
Awesome.
Then we've got songs like Place in This World by Michael W. Smith that, part of the reason it's in the film, but part of the reason why we wanted to re-record it as well is because I think that there are certain great songs that might be more applicable today than they were back when they were released. And I think the Place in This World, you think of the mental health epidemic that is going on really right now, is that's what everybody's trying to figure out. I think young people are struggling because they don't know their place in this world, and they're comparing themselves continually. And we all know that, comparison is the thief of all joy, but we don't know how to stop doing it. And so I think a lot of people resonate. And so part of the reason why I wanted to do it was because it's like, man, this is just a great song, but it's a song that's needed for now as well. So yeah, it was special. It was cool to. I joked with Michael. I was like, man, for us to just hang out a little bit, we have to work together. But in doing that, it's been really cool to just build a little bit more of a friendship with him, and learn. I mean, he's one of the good guys. A guy that has done it for a long time, that has stayed true. And I think it's one thing to accomplish certain things that you set out for in life, but can you do it with great grace and humility, for over 30 years? It's not easy to do. And he's done that and done it well.
I think that's amazing. And what I think of when you say that is when he first wrote that song, social media wasn't even a thing.
That's right.
You could probably still compare your lives to other people, but it wasn't as tangible and it wasn't right in your face every single day. And just like our kids, like my kids, had cell phones when they were in grade school. I didn't get a cell phone until I was 23. So it's a much different era. So I'm really cool,
right.
really excited, and, stoked to see what happens with that, because I think it's a kind of a nice revisit, revamp the song, cast out that message, and, but to the new generation. So I wanted to ask you about that for sure. That's really exciting.
No, it's cool.
So, man, one of the things I saw online, and this isn't about the movie at all, but I watched a video while I was kind of scrolling through the trailers and just trying to kind of get to know you guys a little bit better. I watched this video of a concert you were putting on, I think around Christmas, where everything seemed to be delayed and late. And you all were just like, what I loved about it, I'm watching this whole video and I'm like, you're totally calm, cool, and collected. Like, it's just all going to come together, or maybe it's not. But I loved that, like that more than anything else, I think gave me a sense of who you guys are. Do you recall that? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, you're talking about up in Seattle.
Yeah.
In Washington just a few months ago. Yeah, it was absolutely insane. What we don't show that day, this is what's crazy. Actually, that day, so we show up really, really late. We had issues with getting trucks over a pass, and the weather stuff out there, and that's the risk that you have when you're traveling in the winter. But that day we show up at probably 3, and that rig's hard to set up. It's a lot of stuff. It's 7 semi-trailers, so it's a lot of stuff. It probably should be 10, but we stacked it, and we're cheapskates, so it is what it is. But that day we show up, and there was a group of people that were the local crew that were huddled around, and there were these 2 guys that looked like they were wrestling. And I'm not exaggerating. One guy pulled out a knife and stabbed the other guy.
Wow.
So before we ever even started that video that you watched, there had been like an aggravated assault or attempted murder or something. It was crazy.
Wow.
So that happened. Then we go into trying to set up that day. Yeah, there was still like blood on the ground. My brother, Daniel, and I think some other guy I worked with had to be interviewed about the crime scene, and then we're going to go do a show. I mean, we've never experienced anything like that before,
Wow.
And so, and they got the guy that got stabbed, he got into surgery, and they think if he hadn't been in surgery, he would have probably died. And they saved his life. So it was,
Wow.
it was a little insane. But yeah, man, I mean, when you show up late, you got things going on, you get your hands dirty. And I think that we knew that the show would happen in some way that night. But starting at 8:30 when the show is meant to start at 7 is not ideal or the way that it should be done. But hey, it's you win some, you lose some, and I don't think we lost, and I'm not sure we won that day, but it was a memorable one nonetheless.
At Thrivent, planning your finances is bigger than money. It's a way to support the people, causes, and community you love, because helping you put your faith into action is at the heart of what we do. Thrivent, where money means more. Connect with us at Thrivent.com.
I thought it was super cool, man. I mean, watching the video back, I'm just like, everybody stayed pretty chill. I mean, everybody was real calm. Everybody was, nobody was panicking. It didn't seem like it, but I'm sure there was some more behind the scenes, but
no, I'm just gonna say, I would love to say it's the first time that's ever happened to us,
Yeah.
but it's not. So I think we're all like, been here before, we'll figure it out,
Well, it was pretty great, man. I mean, I really enjoyed watching that video and watching you all interact and get that done. I just thought it was cool.
Cool.
It spoke volumes, I think, to what you all actually do. I think you all are amazing performers, and you put on a great show, but at the same time, you're really there to proclaim the gospel. You're there to show that, Christ is king. And so I just appreciated the fact that the anxiety levels seemed pretty low, and that everybody stayed pretty chill. And like I said, I'm sure there were some tense moments, but it was just awesome to watch.
I appreciate that, man. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, man, I mean, the movie's coming out spring this year,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. April
is it
26th. Yep.
April
Yep,
26th.
April 26th. Yep.
Okay. So what does the premiere look like? What are you guys ramping up for? I mean, you're obviously doing a lot of these kind of interviews, but what else do you have going on?
Oh man, my next, Sarah, who can't be seen right now. But there's a lot going on right now. Yeah, we're doing a promotional tour. We're kind of gone every weekend until the film is released. And yeah, there's a lot of this. There's a lot of screenings. There's a lot of interviews. There's a lot of performances. There's all sorts of things all over the place. But all gearing towards April 26th. It's in music, you kind of have 2 years or so to kind of have your film go or your music to or album perform or not perform. And that, in some cases, a film really comes down to 72 hours because depending on how you do that first weekend is, usually it halves the next weekend and it halves the weekend after that because other films come out. Where with music, you may have other music come out, but depending on what's going on the radio, there's all sorts of other metrics. Not with the film. So the film is tricky, and that we need everyone to kind of help us out on April 26th because you hinge everything in this regard on trying to make that weekend successful.
Do you know how many theaters you're opening in?
Man, it should be at least 2,000. It'll be between 2,000 and 3,000 is what it should be. So for the most part, if there is a theater, if you're in a town, there will be a theater playing it. If you're in, Podunk, Wyoming, and there's only one theater there, that's where it may be there, it may not. But if it's in a major city, it will absolutely be in that city. Yeah.
Cool. Nate,
Perfect.
go ahead.
I was just going to say, maybe we could, encourage our listeners to have their church get a group of people, a small group or whatever, and go buy tickets ahead of time and go to the theater. We can direct them to the website. Anything else that's out there that we can tell them to go to or to look at, Luke?
Yeah, I mean, unsungmoviehero.com I think is the website. But absolutely, I mean, man, group tickets are for us is kind of hinge the movie on because you don't have some of the other metrics that Hollywood has to kind of be able to pull people in. And so, yeah, I mean, you'd be amazed if you get 40 people together. I think in some cases, 50 to 100 is buying out a theater. And buying out a theater is not really that expensive. Most people are like, oh, I can't even do it. I wouldn't be able to do it. So in some cases, we've just said, hey, guys, go find a time that you want to buy out a theater. and go get 50 to 80 of your friends and go to the theater. Those types of things help us out a lot, because it shows to the distributors and Lionsgate and those types of things how to scale these things. In some cases, depending on how it sells early, is also how many theaters it gets put in. So there's a lot of games played behind the scenes, if that makes sense. But at the end of the day, having people show up is the most important game to play. Which anything that we can all do together is always helpful.
And then obviously the soundtrack for the album, right?
Yeah,
you've got that coming out.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, it comes out April 26th, but in some cases, depending on how the movie does, is in some cases how the soundtrack does, because it is the soundtrack. So it's one of those weird things of we're using everything to kind of point back to April 26th and the film. Cool. Obviously, we've already released 2 songs off of the Inspired By, but and there'll be a couple more before it comes out. But yeah, it all still kind of hopefully comes back to hitting that weekend.
Nice.
Totally. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump in there, James. I just was going to ask one last question. I meant to ask this earlier. But what does David think, your dad, of this? Like, kind of seeing his whole story the last 30 years or so, 34 years, whatever it's been since you guys have been here. Like,
I think he hopes that it he would probably say, man, hopefully some of these people can learn from some of my mistakes. Some of the things that I didn't do well. My dad is a good man, and he's been a good father. But what you realize about any parent, there's always room for growth and change, and I think that comes through moments like these types of things. And so for him, I think he would hope that people would really learn from some of the things that he's done and some of the mistakes that he's made. But at the same time, what you see on screen isn't exactly who my father is, but it is exactly what was going on internally. Because it was a scary time. Joel plays a little bit of a kind of frustrated, I don't want to say depressive man, but he struggles. And my dad says, I don't know if that's who I am outwardly, but I think it's who I was inwardly. And I think it'll be important for people to see, hopefully see a man, in a film portrayed this way. I think it will be encouraging to a lot of people.
Well, it's a lot of weight, man. Bringing 6 + 1 in the oven, like
that's right. That's a lot.
That's a big deal. So
that's a big deal.
I'm certainly glad. I know so many people are that he made that decision. We're really glad to have you guys here, and thankful for all you guys are doing through for King and Country, through all the other movies and things that you guys are doing. So, I just excited. So unsungheromovie.com. Anything else that we need to share or tell them to go to see?
Man, I think that's about it. If you hear this, grab a friend and go come out and see us April 26th.
Very cool. Well, Luke, thanks for being on, man. This was awesome. Thanks for taking the time, and we really appreciate it. And looking forward to the movie, man.
Yeah, great to see you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Good to see you guys. Thanks for the time, and all the best until next time.
Yep. We'll catch everybody on the next episode of Thinking Christian. Thanks so much.
Thank you, guys.
Hey there, it's Nicole Eunice, host of the How to Study the Bible podcast, where every single week we join together to encounter God through His Word. You can subscribe at lifeaudio.com.